Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast that is here to help you speak more fluent, natural, and confident English. And this is the March Natter. Okay, so every month now, once a month, I'm trying to do an extremely spontaneous episode where I just have a chit chat with you about random topics, about different things that I have thought about, that I've noticed, that have happened in my life, and this is March's episode. So the purpose of this episode is for you to just be able to relax, to unwind and listen, absorb the English language in a natural and authentic way, and hopefully come away with some new vocabulary, some new understanding of British culture. So as I said, if you are a regular viewer or listener to the podcast, you will know that I'm trying to do these episodes once a month. But if you are new here, if this is your first time stumbling across this podcast, then that is what we're going to do today. But if you wanted something more regimented, if you wanted something more official, shall we say, then feel free, check out my other episodes. They are more study-based. But this is going to be a super chilled, super relaxed episode. So if you can, grab yourself a cup of tea, grab yourself a cup of coffee, a glass of vino, of wine, if you would like, and just relax. Just enjoy the English language with me. I actually have a very exciting cup of flavoured water with me today because it's 18 degrees here in England. Here in the southeast of England today, we actually hit 18 degrees, which is, what date is it? Time of recording, it's March the 8th, so a little bit behind in recording this one. So all being well, this does go out tomorrow, which is Sunday the 9th. But yeah, it's been a really lovely week here in England. It's been warm. Well, I say warm by British standards. 15 to 18 degrees is exceptional for us. That is barbecue weather. We'll take it. We're happy with that. And yeah, I've got a glass of flavoured water, not a cup of tea, not a cup of coffee. My wife and I have recently got into flavoured sparkling waters. Oh, how exciting our life has got. But that's just married life, isn't it? That's just life as you get older. You get excited by the little things. And when we go food shopping every week now, we have a look in the drink section and we have a look through the sparkling flavoured waters and we choose some that we haven't tried before or ones that we like. So life for us is absolutely wild. So that's what I've got today, but feel free to have whatever you want. And I would love to know, I have asked this a few times and sometimes I get responses, but I would love you all to let me know, how do you listen to this podcast? Or how do you watch it? If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, how do you partake in the GSL-English Podcast? What I mean by that is, do you sit down and relax and just enjoy the podcast? Or do you listen to it on the go? Do you listen to it at the gym? Which would be bizarre because I would find this podcast the most unmotivational podcast to keep you going at the gym. But if that's what floats your boat, if that's your thing, then fair play. Yeah. Do you listen to it on your commute to work? I would honestly love to know. So please let me know in the comments, how do you or when do you listen to this podcast? So what are we going to talk about in this episode? Well, we're going to talk about village life here in England. We're going to talk a little bit about life before the internet. That's been on my mind a bit at the moment. And a couple of my students will think, okay. Because we looked at that in our private classes together. So we're going to talk about life before the internet and just take a little nostalgic trip to the early 90s. And we're just going to talk about some things that I remember and perhaps you will remember about life before the internet. And if you are perhaps past the point of millennial, you're a Gen Z or Gen Alpha listening to this, then we will educate you in what life was like before the internet. We're going to talk a little bit about YouTube and how I just don't understand it. And what else have we got planned? Oh, yeah, and walking. So a few random topics, and there'll be some little bits sprinkled in between. But just before we get into it, thank you so much for watching, for listening, for supporting the podcast. I genuinely appreciate it. Please do subscribe, like, and interact in any way you feel appropriate with this podcast to help it get out there. So thank you very much. So village life here in England. Now, many of you will know if you've listened to previous episodes that my wife and I recently moved house. So we've stayed in the same village in the southeast of England in Kent. But we're in a position now which means that we can really absorb village life. And what I mean by that is we can walk everywhere. And it's absolutely lovely. I've never been in a position, or I've never lived anywhere where I can just walk to everything I need. For example, this afternoon, my wife and I, if I get this podcast done on time, I was supposed to record it yesterday, but I ran out of time. So my wife is patiently waiting for me whilst I record this episode. But we've decided that we want to walk more. And there is a beautiful country park near us, and we can walk there in 10 minutes. I've never had that before. So we decided, we're going to go walking there much more often. We can walk to 2 pubs in 5 minutes. There's a parade of shops we can walk to in 5 minutes. And it's very liberating. It's very nice to not have to drive absolutely everywhere. To get in the car and drive everywhere, find a parking space. We don't have to do that anymore. And village life is really, really nice here in England. For the example, the other day, I had an hour spare, so I walked up the road 5 minutes and got my hair cut at the local Turkish barbers, because many of our barbers here in England are Turkish and they're absolutely fantastic. The ones I go to are called Sirs. Well, I say go to. It's my first actual official haircut since COVID started. So what do you think? If you're on YouTube, what do you think of the haircut? My wife thinks it's too short. So I asked for a scissor cut. I don't like all the razors and the skin fades and things like that. So I just asked for a scissor cut with the hairdresser. And I think they did a nice job. But it was my first haircut since COVID, well, official haircut. My wife has been cutting my hair since COVID began. Because, of course, once COVID started, hairdressers closed, and I had this basically ginger mop on top of my head, which needed some serious attention after about 6 months of COVID. So my wife stepped in. She courageously volunteered to cut my hair, and she did an all right job, and they only got better and better. But life is very busy here in England, and she doesn't have time to cut my hair anymore. So I went to the barbers, did a scissor cut. Wife thinks it's a little bit too short, but the hair will always grow. That's one thing that I find very weird in getting your hair cut, is do you or do you not talk to your hairdresser? Now, I don't know whether I'm just rude, but I don't feel the need to talk to the hairdresser. Is that really rude? I don't know. I heard other people in there having good old chit-chats with their hairdressers, but I don't know, not because I'm not interested in the person, but I kind of like just switching off when I'm getting my hair cut. I don't want to have a full-blown conversation whilst they're cutting my hair. Is that rude? What do you think? When you're getting your hair done, are you somebody that likes to have a good old chinwag with the person that's cutting your hair? Or do you like silence? I kind of like silence. Just stare at them cutting my hair for 30 minutes. And I'm sure they must like that as well. Because if every customer came in wanting to have a conversation, God, that must get a bit tedious after a while. But it can. Yeah, I'm in the camp of no conversation when you're getting your hair cut. That's where I fall in it. But yeah, walking within this village life, being able to walk to everywhere. We walked up to our local parade of shops. And that's what here in England we call basically just a street where you've got a selection of shops. So we've got just this very small street which has a parade of shops. And honestly, we've got everything we need. We've got our hairdressers. which is the first one you come to. Then a Chinese takeaway. Then a Tesco. Tesco is like our everyday supermarket. And what you get in Tesco is a Tesco meal deal, which is basically your lunch. And for between £3.50 and £5, you can get a sandwich, a snack, and a drink. Perfect for lunch. Kind of famous in England. Just go get yourself a Tesco meal deal for lunch. If you've been to England or you live in England, you'll know about it. On from Tesco, we have a kebab shop. Absolutely sublime. From there, we have an estate agent. An estate agent is somebody that sells you homes, sells you houses, or they help you to rent a property. Or if you are a landlord, they help you to find a tenant to live in your property. And then from there, what is it? Oh, we have another supermarket. Then we have a beautiful little family-run cafe. So they do like hot chocolates, coffees and breakfasts. We got a fish and chip shop, a chippy, a good old chippy, and they do the traditional fish and chips. If you get it to take away, it comes in a newspaper and it stinks of vinegar. Absolutely fantastic. We've got an Indian restaurant, and then we have a mechanics. Somebody can fix your car. And then on from there, we've got all the schools and the pubs and everything, fields. I just love it. I'm really loving village life. And I didn't think I was that kind of person that would. But village life is really, really just enjoyable. And I think it stems from the fact that we don't have to drive everywhere. Not everything is a journey or taking the car. Just being able to walk, unwind, and relax. Yeah. Just my little take on village life there. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was life before the internet. This has been on my mind a little bit since I stumbled across an article talking about how and when the internet came about, how it came into our lives. Now, you might be of the age where you can remember the internet kind of really getting into everybody's lives from around, mid-90s to late 90s, early 2000s. But can you remember what life was like before the internet? What comes to your mind when you think of life before the internet? What do you think of? Now, what I've done is I've compiled a list in different categories of things that I remember from life before the internet. Now, just knocking the camera there as I get comfortable. Now, I was born in 1990. But my family, we didn't really get internet into our home until about 2000. We were kind of slow on the trend of computers and internets at the time. We lived in a really small village, pub life, post office, playing with my friends, 20 houses. So kind of for us, I guess it really wasn't necessary to have a computer. We didn't need the internet. So although I was born in 1990, I very well remember life before the internet, and also basically before internet had good connection. Okay, so here are some of the things I remember about it. Of course, this is particular to England, but I would love to know whether you share some of the same experiences, or let me know, are you of the age where having internet is all you've ever known? So the first is this: traditional phone calls, letters, and postcards. We relied on landline phones. So that's not a mobile phone, a phone that is connected with a cable to your landline. That was how you called your friends. That was how you called people. Landline phones, and our phone had the curly wire, that you could twiddle around your thumb. Don't know if you had the same, with your finger, sorry. And if you weren't home, you simply missed the call. And I don't remember having voicemail at that time. I remember when we got voicemail, which is where somebody could leave a message. But yeah, you missed the call. You just have to try it again. Postcards. Do you remember them? What happened to postcards? Maybe you still send them. I can't remember the last time I sent a postcard. Where you go on holiday and then you just write a little message to your nan, to your granddad, to a friend saying hello from Cyprus. Hello from Lanzarote, hello from Cornwall, from Devon, from Scotland, and you'd post this postcard, and depending where you're from, they would either get it before you got home or they'd get it 2 months later. But it was exciting. It was good. Letter writing. Did you do that? Were you somebody that wrote letters to your friends, to your romantic interests? What about when it comes to entertainment? TV, I'm going to start with that. We only ever had 4 channels. We had the scheduled programming, no streaming, no reruns that were planned. If you missed an episode, you missed it. You either had to wait for the rerun when it was going to come out, or you could record it on a video. But 4 channels, I remember that. And in my home, we had, what were some of the programs we looked forward to as kids? Oh, Simpsons on a Monday, and then we had a double bill of the Simpsons on a Friday. But, you'd have to be at the TV by 6 o'clock. You'd watch all the ads. You'd watch the programs before, just waiting for that program. And I do miss that time a little bit, because now my wife and I, even when I get together with all my family, we spend hours looking for something to watch simply because we have too much options. We have too many options. But do you remember that? Scheduled programming on a TV with extremely limited channels. If you wanted a new film, you'd go rent it. Our famous one was Blockbuster. Going to Blockbuster and smelling the sweets and the popcorn and the looking around for all the movies, and you rent one film and you're stuck with that film. Whether you liked it, you didn't like it, you couldn't turn it off and just go on to the next film that was available like we do on Netflix and Amazon and Disney now. You rented that film, you watched it. If you liked it, great. If you didn't like it, it doesn't matter. It's a simpler time, wasn't it? Yeah, I miss that. What about libraries and encyclopedias? I remember if we had to research something at school or do a project, I had to go to the library. I had to look through encyclopedias for information. Or I do remember before the internet, my dad getting what was the disc set? It was like a encyclopedia basically, but you could put the discs into your PC and it would give you all of the information. It'd be like A to Z, but there'll be over 4 discs. You had to do the research. You couldn't just Google it. You couldn't just look it up on the internet. You actually had to do research. In-person shopping. I remember there being no online shopping. I would circle the things for my parents on a catalogue that I wanted and just hope that they would get it from a shop. Paper maps. No GPS. No Google Maps. Being in the back of the car, watching my parents navigate their way through driving holidays, sometimes ending in a bit of a kerfuffle, in a bit of an argument, sitting in the back seat just staying quiet while your parents are creating a bit of an atmosphere because the map's not right, because it's the wrong way round, don't know where we are. I remember that. What about when you used to book a holiday and you used to have to go in? I remember going in with my parents and us booking a family holiday. You couldn't really read all of the reviews online. You just had to go in, book a holiday from the travel agents, go on that holiday and hope that it was all right. Yeah. Handwritten notes, meeting in person, typewriters, no remote work. These were some of the other things that came up when I did a bit of research. But yeah, life before the internet, of course, I think it's easy to bash the internet now saying, it takes over our lives. But the reality is it has made life so much easier, hasn't it? It's made everything so accessible, and the things that we can do because of the internet now is remarkable. For example, this random English teacher from London can put out a podcast to 35,000 subscribers and you can watch it. I mean, that is incredible. But there was a simplicity to life before the internet that I do miss. I think we are bombarded. We are absolutely overloaded with options now. And it's just different. Life was different. Not necessarily better or worse. It was just less digital, less screen-based, less options. And I think from time to time, I miss that. I miss having less options. Does that make sense? Let me know what you think. Do you miss the era before the internet? Are there certain things that you miss? Certain things that you remember about life before the internet? Even when we think of YouTube, I don't really understand YouTube. I don't understand how it works. I don't understand algorithms. I don't understand how people blow up on YouTube. I don't understand really what it takes. But could you imagine life without YouTube now? I love YouTube. The amount of things that I watch on it, random things I've learned and I think improved on because of YouTube, it's remarkable. But it is a weird thing. Like, of course, I post episodes at least once a week, and I am trying to post on Wednesdays now. I did post last Wednesday, by the way. I don't know whether you missed it. Check it out if you did. I don't think a lot of people saw it. And this is what I don't understand with the algorithm. I don't get what YouTube wants to push the content to you guys. So I noticed that it's not actually getting out. If you are watching this one now and it's not come up in your feed in a while, do let me know, because I don't really know what you have to do to the algorithm, to the way that you post or where you post or when you post, that it gets put out to as many people as possible. So if you have been missing a few episodes recently, I know on Spotify you get them every time. That's fantastic. But yeah, if you have been missing a few episodes recently, it's because I think the algorithm's just not putting it out to you at the moment. So I do apologise for that. But I'll be honest, there's absolutely naff all. There is absolutely nothing I can do about it. So I've tried researching it. I've tried understanding YouTube. I've tried to understand how to make things successful on YouTube. But to be honest, I've just given up. I don't really care anymore. It is what it is. My theory is just keep on posting, keep on doing your thing, and you'll grow. Slowly but surely, you'll grow. But yeah, it is a very, very odd thing, YouTube. It's fantastic, but it's like a friend that you can never really understand what they want. There's no pleasing them. So as I said earlier, my wife and I, we've decided that we really want to start walking more. And that's what we're going to do. So my wife had this idea. She said, well, why don't you do a podcast of us going for a walk? So as well as the cooking episode, which I'm working on at the moment, I'm just trying to work out a way of doing it, what we're going to cook, how to record it. And the biggest problem I've got at the moment is microphones. So I've only got this microphone because I used to have like a little clip-on microphone, but I lost it in the move. It has gone. So I need to try and source another microphone so that, you know, I can record and the sound quality will be good for all of you. But my wife also had the idea of us recording an episode going for a walk. So I'm thinking about doing that, just going for a bit of a walk around the country park here and just showing you a few different bits. But it will only happen once I get the microphone sorted. So just a little microphone that can go on my t-shirt. And I would like to do it up London. That's my real goal, just to show you guys around London. Hopefully that will be an option soon. But do check out recent episodes of mine. So recently we've done a few article-based episodes, which I've really enjoyed. We did one like on basically a summary of Frankenstein, which is an incredible story. But we went through kind of the summary, the story, and learnt some new vocabulary on that. Wednesday's episode was about being introverted or extroverted. What did we talk about before that? Cooking. Did an episode on cooking. I'm trying to think of the other things we've done. But basically, yeah, make sure you do check out the other episodes, because I always try to create episodes that will get you thinking about something that you weren't expecting to think about, if that makes any sense. So I don't want you to come and watch this podcast or listen to the podcast and just have the same thing every week. I don't want you to know what's coming. So I always want to create content that, of course, is relaxing, helps you to unwind, you enjoy it. But I also want you to think, oh, I didn't see that coming. I always try to choose topics that will surprise you and get you to think in a way in English that you haven't had to do so in the past. For example, perhaps going by Wednesday's episode, we were talking about being introverted or extroverted. I wanted you to think about that in English. How would you describe what you are in English? Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Are you ambiverted? But don't just listen. think about it in English. And that's what I was going to say for previous episodes and future episodes that are coming up. A little tip that I had for you, rather than just simply listening, rather than just taking it in, which is fantastic. Think about the episode, one, in context with your life, but two, think about how you would talk about it. How would you summarize it? How would you express your opinion in English? Because if you can get thinking in English, it changes everything. If you can think in the language that you are learning, it really is where progress will come from. So give that a try over previous episodes. Go back on an episode that you've already listened to and just think about it. What is your opinion? But express that in English. There you go. So we're going to finish up today with a question that I had a younger person. It wasn't a student. I was just spending some time with young friends, I think, and they asked this question. Okay. So they're about 10 or 12. If you woke up tomorrow with a completely new talent or skill, something you've never done before, what would it be? Yeah, we're just chatting away. It was one of my friends' kid. We're just chatting away and they asked this question. If you woke up tomorrow with a completely new talent or skill, something you've never practiced before, what would it be? And do you know what my answer was? Archery. I know that sounds really weird, but I've always loved archery and I've always wanted to be really, really good at it. Not that I would use it for any means, but I just like the idea of knowing that I'm good at archery. Once my mother, she booked like a day out for my brother, my father and I locally, and we got to do archery in the forest. So basically you hit trees, you hit objects in the different target practice. Ever since then I thought I would love to be really good at this. It's completely useless, by the way. I'm not talking about a skill that would be of any use, but I would just really love to be good at archery. I have no reason why, and I don't really understand what the obsession with it is, but that's what I thought. You know what? If I had a talent or a skill I never practiced before, I'd like it to be archery. But what would it be for you? If you could be good at anything, if you could wake up tomorrow and be good with have any talent, have any skill, what would it be? Let me know in the comments, or just say the answer out loud to yourself. Talk to your friend about it. Use that as a conversation starter. But I'd really love to know, what would it be? I mean, I guess a more practical option for me would be to speak Spanish. But I have practiced that before. What would another one be? A skill that I've not practiced before. Welding. I've always loved the idea of welding. I think it just comes from my love of cars, but I would love to be able to have the talent or the skill of welding, of joining two bits of metal together. And if you know anything about that or you look into it, you'll know there's a real skill, but I have never tried it. I've never had the opportunity to try. So that would be another one I would probably try. Archery and welding. I sound like a really weird man, don't I? But yeah, they're the things I'd like to try. So there you go. That was the March Natter. Just talking about a few things that are on my mind. If you have any opinions, any comments, any thoughts on this episode, please do let me know. Don't hold back in the comments. Even as you're going through the episode and you hear something you want to talk about, leave a comment. You're not limited to one comment now. Just keep them coming throughout the episode. But as always, I do really appreciate your support. I can't thank you enough for regularly listening, for regularly joining this podcast. As I say, the purpose is always to just present the English language to you in a natural, real, spontaneous way. And I do hope from the bottom of my heart that it is helping you. But remember, with English, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we don't ever stop. So just enjoy it. Don't get stressed with it. Don't get annoyed at yourself. Just be consistent, keep going, and you'll get there. All right, have a great weekend. Have an amazing week ahead, and I'll see you all soon. Have a good one, guys.